at its very core, explain simply what a trustee investment
Sure.
is.
It's funny because it is, say, foreign to a lot of people as an investment, yet I think almost everybody is familiar with the concept, which is people own a house, they get a loan from the bank, that's the person who holds the mortgage, or in this, a trust deed. Simply investing in trust deeds is simply being the person with the mortgage on a house. So even though as an investment tool, I think it's a little foreign to most people, it's really a very common concept.
Yeah, once you tell them flip the table, you put it on the other side and, and you get it.
Right,
Okay.
exactly.
So as far as the paperwork involved, when they make an investment, there are a couple of pieces of paper that are important. One of them is a promissory note, one's a trust deed.
Yes.
Which one of those gets recorded?
A trust deed is the piece of paperwork that gets recorded.
Okay.
And the promissory note is the terms that are attached to that trust deed, if you will.
Right.
And that would be things like how long is the note for, what's the interest rate, how much are the monthly payments, those type of things. That's what's on a promissory note. The trust deed is recorded, and that just makes it part of the property that's being attached.
Well, what's important too is sort of like if you own a property, you could search title and say, oh, there I am.
Exactly.
In the same way, in a trust deed, you're a lender of record, to where no one can sell that property without you being involved and saying, okay, here's what I'm owed.
Exactly, and not to maybe jump ahead, but that's very important because being in business as long as we have, surprisingly, there's a large number of people that probably think they have a trust deed that don't. And I mean,
yes.
It's amazing how common we've seen that over the years, where people actually have given somebody money with a certain term of payment in mind.
Correct.
But without the security of the trust deed,
right.
Which might mean you've just made that person a $100,000 personal loan.
Unsecured loan.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Unsecured loan.
When you actually have a trust deed, there's players in there. There's a trustor,
Yes.
a trustee, and a beneficiary. So just explain those three roles, please.
Okay. The trustor, that would be the person that's borrowing the money.
Right, they own the property.
Or would be making the payments. The beneficiary, that would be the person lending the money. And the trustee, generally that's going to be the Norris Group. That's just a person that maybe has some control over the paperwork and executing certain things like reconveyances when the loan is paid off and that type of thing.
Is it typical that the trustor, the borrower, is using an entity as opposed to their name?
It's probably as common as not.
Okay.
With a lot of our investors, they'll either buy in their name, they might buy in a trust, they might buy in an LLC or a corporation.
Right.
So the Norris Group, we're comfortable with all of those entities as long as it's a legal entity in good standing.
And I think it's important to realize if you're going to get into trust deed investing, you're going to see a borrower that's other than a person, because generally we're dealing with business owners that do this as a business.
Exactly, and for the trustor or the borrower, there's benefits of maybe not taking things in your name.
Absolutely.
One can be if you own 30 properties, you don't necessarily want everybody to know you have 30 properties because that's all public information. There's tax advantages and other things.
Exactly.
So you do need to understand that you're not going to see John Smith most of the time as the trustor on a deed of trust with the Norris Group.
Right. Why do people generally invest in trust deeds?
I think people invest in trust deeds for a couple of reasons. One, the initial question was a lot of people don't know that as a vehicle, but once they do, I think it is very simple to understand.
Yes.
Okay, so for one, I think they understand it once they do kind of learn what it is. Two, they like the security of having a property protecting their investment. And then probably three, they just like to get cash flow. Because the best thing about a trust deed is you're just going to lend somebody the money, then you're going to get payments on a monthly basis. And I think most of the people that invest in trust deeds, they probably want to have passive income and they want to get monthly payments.
Why would somebody prefer a trust deed versus a rental?
Well, just using from me as personal experience, as you know, when we met 22 years ago, then subsequently 18 years ago when the Norris Group started, I was excited because I thought I was going to learn all about the property buying, which I have,
right,
and rentals and things of that nature, but not everybody's personality is suited for rentals. So a trust deed is very passive, where a rental can be very hands-on. And I always use the example of myself. overseeing, say, the funds at the Norris Group for me provides very little stress. But if I had one rental and the bathroom was an issue, see, that would stress me out. So I think a lot of people just like the passiveness, passive nature of the investment.
Yeah, and I think even people that own property like the diversification of a trustee. You have
Right.
both worlds going on. I would fall into that category.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I can tell you, like, the volatile nature of having rentals and having trustees, those are two different worlds of comfort, if you will.
Absolutely.
I've learned to cope with both
Right.
of them, but I can tell you for sure the difference exists.
Exactly, and you're rewarded for dealing with that stress, obviously, with the rental, with the possible appreciation,
Right.
but also you're rewarded with a lot of headaches sometimes when tenants move out, things of that nature. So,
The term hard money, what is that?
well, I don't know if there's actually a definition in the dictionary, because I get asked that question a lot, really,
Yeah.
and there probably isn't. But as far as I've always understood it, or what it actually is, hard money is simply the term when you're using, say, private individuals' money.
Okay.
So it's just simply a term for using money when a bank or some savings institution isn't really involved in the funding of paper. It's going to be an individual that's lending that money. So that's typically what hard money is.
I remember running an ad one time, and I tried to skirt that word.
Right.
And I got phone calls, and they said, "Do you mean hard money?" So it was sort of like,
Yeah.
yeah, might as well just say that.
Yeah, it's understood. Yes, absolutely.
We've all heard interest rates 3% and 4%. Why does somebody borrow hard money? Because it's more expensive.
Well, lots of reasons. Just to kind of maybe go over a couple. For one, a lot of our clients might buy properties. They get them at a very good discount, but a lot of times they'll get them at a discount because they're in need of major repairs. Well, if a house needs major repairs, you're not going to get a bank to lend on that until the repairs are done. So
It's interesting. And we'll talk a little bit about maybe track record in a while. You know, our payment history is unbelievably safe, and yet the standard lender wouldn't look at what we lend on, because many times it might have no kitchen or something like that.
exactly.
It's just two different worlds.
Yeah, it's just looking at the overall picture of, like, seeing everything that's involved, not just as it is, I think.